You know what we're doing.
Welcome to Backstory and Beyond. My name is John Daniel, and I'm humbled to be your host. But I'm proud to be here with Mr. Scott Johnson, who is the founder of Veterans Own UK. Thank you, sir, for coming in.
Thank you very much for having me.
Hey, man, and we're sitting here at the National Minority Supplier Development Council in Miami, 2025.
Absolutely.
And that's why we met. And so there's so many people who come out of the UK that we have interviewed. And Scott now is on that list, and we just want to keep that going because we are a global economy.
Absolutely.
And the same problems, we were just chatting about this, there's a common denominator for challenges for human beings everywhere. And so veterans getting the kind of resources they need to build businesses and other things too is crucially important. And I think we've got the man here from the UK who can articulate that in ways that grandmom could understand. That said, Scott, if it's okay, let me share a little bit about this particular show. Backstory and Beyond focuses on helping people become their best. And we use down-to-earth ideas such as your purpose, calling, what you think your potential is, and finally, service to other people. Indeed, we're focused on words of action, such as forgive, believe, love, and serve. Sir, your backstory shares that with people. As a veteran, as a man who's seeking further education, there's a lot, but you'll unfold all that, unpack it all.
Coming up.
Sir, you got the floor. Please share with us your backstory.
Okay. So I'm former British Army. I served in the Army from 1996 to 2004. And for most of my time in the Army, I was in EOD, Explosive Ordnance Disposal, so bomb disposal for the common person. So I joined the Army at 17 years old, which is a little bit different in the UK to yourselves over here in the US. We can join at a much younger age in the UK. So you can join predominantly from 15 years old and 9 months, and you can join the military at that point. You can't go on operational tours, deployments, until you're 18 years old, but you can get your basic training, your trade training, and all those things done in advance. So I joined at 17 years old. I was an electrical engineer by trade, and that was what I wanted to do. So I did my basic training and my initial electrical engineering trade training, and then went on to serve when I reached the full Army at that point in my first unit. I went on to serve in different countries around the world, including Afghanistan, Northern Ireland, Germany, the Falkland Islands, and so forth. So spent just over 8 years in the Army before deciding to leave. I got married to my wife. We're still married now, 21 years down the line. And the reason I decided to leave was you can't do two things like that, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. It takes a lot out of you to be in the military, and you have to give your whole self to it to commit to the job. And being married was difficult. I'd seen so many of my friends get married, but then get divorced within a year or two because you're away so often. You're out of the country, you're on deployments, you're on training, you're on exercises. And it just takes a lot away from your family life and your personal life. So I asked my wife to marry me and decided to throw everything into that, which is what you should do, right?
Yes, sir.
So I decided to leave the military, and thankfully, 21 years down the line, we're still married.
Sir, what you just shared with me is that You come from humble beginnings. You served your country. You're serving your family. And now you're serving veterans to help move business development forward. It doesn't get better than that. And by the way, let me just shake your hand. For the average person today, 21 years is a long time. I love it. I mean, look, man, that's perseverance. And you know, with most of our families, the CEO of our home is our wife.
Yes.
Happy wife, happy life. It's all good.
I think for me, 21 years has been a comfortable ride. For my wife, it might be more difficult. She has to put up with me, so she gets the harder job in that deal. But no, it's been a great ride, and you know everything you talked about there, service, and I think service is ingrained in you, and it's something you either have as part of your being or you don't. And for those of us who join the military, generally that's about service and going on to give something to something bigger than yourself. And I think that continues even after you leave the military. And, you know, people get the ability to serve again. So for lots of people in the military, they'll leave and they'll join law enforcement or fire service or go and become medics, because that drive to serve a community, serve people, is always there.
Well, I want to get more to that intentionality and that direction, but offer me this opportunity to reflect too upon some things that you're saying. My next question, so you know, will be about the mission, vision, values of Veteran-Owned UK. But it seems to me that the sacrifice that you made on behalf of your family, and, if you will, the work-life balance that you made because you knew you were going to be a house divided, says that's important to know about your character, your conduct, and, as we have now, a conversation.
Yep.
So let's go to that next question. I just wanted to reflect on that because that's what I heard.
Yeah.
Tell me what it is in certain terms: mission, vision, values, measurable objectives, timeline of what is Veteran-Owned UK.
Yeah, so our mission is to support veteran-owned businesses within the UK, and that's across two different objectives, essentially. So the first objective is around exposure. So we have a public-facing directory, a business directory that lives on our website, where the public can go on to the website and put in whatever they're looking for. I want to find a coffee supplier. I want to find T-shirts. I want to find an architect. I want to find an electrician. Whatever job you might need, service you might need, or product you might need, you can go on to our website and put that in the directory. It's like Yelp.com. And you can do that by just the keyword, or you can do it with location. So, for example, you could say, I'm looking for an electrician in London, and it'll give you all the electricians in London. Or you could just say, I'm looking for coffee, and you don't put the location in, it'll give you all the coffee suppliers, because they can mail that, right? So you can ship that to anywhere. So the first part of what we do, objective, is around that exposure to the public. So that's in the B2C side, the business to customer side, where that business is going to sell generally an individual product or a one-time service to the end user, the end customer. Then we do the work with corporates. So that's around opportunity. So the first one, exposure. The second one is opportunity. So the work we do with corporates around the concept of supplier diversity, or as it's more commonly being referred to as these days, inclusive sourcing. So gaining opportunity for veteran-owned businesses to work with corporate businesses on the B2B side, business to business side. So not looking for preference. So not, saying to people, hey, I was in the military, please give me some work because you feel sorry for me for whatever reason you might think is appropriate. It's about getting opportunity to see those jobs, those RFPs, those RFQs, those tenders and being able to showcase what you can do as a veteran-owned business and why you can be more innovative, why you can be more agile or flexible, why you have greater customer service, why you have the attention to detail to drive forward whatever engagement you're being asked to do. And the opportunity to stand up against corporates or other businesses and showcase what you can do is what's missing in the diverse business landscape.
You know, what you said is extremely critical. To be able to show value to that company and how you can increase their ROI. That could be by decreasing cost or bringing some other innovative service to the table. I think that's critical. Everything you just said seemed like very reasonable triages of information. But please continue, sir.
Yeah, and from the corporate point of view, why would they not want those things in their supply chain or procurement process?
Yes, sir.
It drives down cost for them because you've got competitiveness amongst the tendering process, for example. So you're going to get increased customer service because often in the contract management process, people inherently, humans are lazy, right? And we'll take the path of least resistance whenever they're able to do so. So in the contract management process, often in large corporates, people will just go through the motions. And once somebody's assigned to a contract, it just gets renewed over and over again because that's the easy thing to do rather than put it back out to tender and get other people to apply for it and look at running that, what they bring to the table, what additional points they can deliver, what cost they would bid to do that work. So often the path of least resistance is to just go with the incumbent company that's already running that contract. So just purely by opening up your contracts again drives that innovation, drives that cost saving, drives that increase in customer service. So it's beneficial in the process itself. Then you have the benefits that diverse businesses bring to the table. So that innovative mindset, that agile working, that flexibility, that attention to detail, that will, in the veteran community, that desire to serve that we spoke about earlier. And serving can be your country, it can be your community, it can be your family, it can be your customer. And that's inherent in veteran-owned businesses. And that's why they make really good vendors, suppliers within any corporate supply chain, any business supply chain, full stop.
I love what you're sharing, and one point of question that came to mind, and a good one, very positive one, is within the scope of all of this, is there, with these great companies, because they have the veteran character, is there anything that you do with them in regard to attracting, training, retaining, developing employees that work for them that might be, and you've said this to me on another occasion, you stay in your lane, but it seems to me where you fall, that might be an opportunity, but it might not be one you choose to take at this point in time.
Yeah, so again, within those lanes, and as I said earlier, I'm a big believer in people having lanes and sticking to them. You know, be the best at what you can do. Right. Not try and be average or mediocre and lots of different things. Right. Because you owe the end user, your customer, your community to deliver the best thing for them. Doing what you do, I think, is the best way to do that. So in the UK, we have lots of organizations that help veterans with employment and help corporates with recruitment. Lots of corporates have great armed forces recruitment programs, and they'll stand them up themselves internally, and they'll recruit from the military community, whether that be what we call service leavers, so the person that is leaving the military and going to do their first role outside of the military, or whether you're a veteran, and it can be 20 years after you've left service, but you're looking for a new role and you go through one of the recruitment programs. So there's lots of opportunity out there with great organizations doing those things. Now, where we can all help out on that is generally any veteran organization, a large percentage of their audience comes from the veteran community. So we regularly get asked by corporates, by partners, by supporters, hey, we've got this job available we think would be great for the veteran community, or we've got these roles going open currently. Can you put it in front of the veteran community? Because we'd love to get some applicants from that. So we help them with those things as well. We put them out via our mailing list, via our socials, and just advertise, if you like, put them in front of people, because it doesn't benefit us, but it benefits a veteran, and that's what we're here to do. So, as I said, for our 2 pillars of exposure and how we work, benefits is all for benefiting the veteran community. So.
I adore what you're saying, and the word that comes to mind as I reflect on what you said is relationship. You are advocating building a multiplicity of relationships predicated upon the veteran-owned business UK needs.
Yeah.
And so you don't have to do all of that. And that said, it dovetails into something I had a chance to chat with you about before, but I want our audience to hear it. Your collaboration with other like organizations in the UK, and the very big event you just had that I looked at your eye, you said, yeah, man, this is good. Go ahead, take your time, sir. Take your time.
So I think collaboration is a military trait. So within the military, you have the Army, the Air Force, the Navy. You guys over here, you then got the Coast Guard and the Space Force and things. So they're all different organizations, different entities, but they all work together to drive towards the same mission. So I'm very collaboratively driven for things, and I'm a huge believer in force multipliers. So by different people with different skill sets and different views on things, cognitive diversity, being joined together to achieve a mission and be successful in achieving that in the best possible way. So I'm very much for collaboration. So in the UK, last month, September the 12th and 13th, we delivered the UK Inclusive Sourcing Summit. So the first of its kind in the UK, I believe globally, the first of its kind for 5 different advocacy groups to come together. So there was Veteran Owned UK, my own organization, MSD UK, which is...
Hold up. Give me a pound. Give me a pound. No, we had to stop that. No, keep on going. I'm sorry. Okay? The only one in the world. Woo! Come on.
So, Veteran Owned UK, MSD UK, which is the ethnic minority advocacy group, Out Britain, which is the LGBT Chamber of Commerce in the UK, We Connect International, which is a global organization for female-owned businesses, and Social Enterprise UK, which is the UK's advocacy group that supports social enterprises, what we call not-for-profits, as you guys would call them over here in the US. So we collaborative jointly, no ruling partner. It was a complete joint 20% each collaboration. We all had different tasks, different things to do to make it work, to bring it together. And we delivered 2 days in the historic Guildhall in London. If you've ever been to London and seen the Guildhall, around 350 people each day, 45 different corporates, 5 different demographics of people coming together in one place. And it was all about education, connection, and building those relationships that you spoke about. Bringing corporates, procurement teams, buyers into the room to have meaningful conversations with diverse businesses and talk about, hey, we've got this work that's available now. Would you be interested in it? Let me get your details. I want to send you something we've got coming up in the next month or 2. And really getting those relationships to be built. People buy from people, right? So in business, you need to have that relationship built to be successful in business, because people ain't going to buy for you if they don't know what you're for, what you stand for, what you're about. So getting those relationships built. Education. So in the UK now, we've got a new piece of legislation called the Procurement Act that says that any public procurement has to have an impact on social impact. So it has to be driving business to small, medium enterprises, local businesses, diverse businesses, and have social impact for any money that's being spent essentially from the government. So we did education around that. We had people come and speak that were part of the policymakers that wrote that government policy and got it turned into a piece of legislation, and explaining about what it's about, what it needs to do, what you need to do to be successful and stick within the laws, and really for what it is, the essence of it, to drive social impact for good for the community, using business, and we're talking billions of pounds worth of contracts, how that drives down into communities and not just into corporate shareholders, dividends and pockets and things like that. So it's a hugely important piece of legislation that's come into effect this year in the UK, and really a stark contrast to what's happened in the US and how your diversity landscape has changed in this year. The UK, we've changed it in the opposite direction and doubled down on it and got hard into that social impact.
I love it. I was recently in London and was part of a mastermind class, actually in Amsterdam, in the last couple of weeks, with someone who's a member of the London Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
He's also a specialized IP attorney at Edwin Co.
Yeah, nice.
Which is a globally acknowledged firm, and they really are involved with the environment and multiplicity of other things. But one of the things that this subject matter expert talked about, which I want to bring us to, was the transformation of the media industry and how it's impacting messaging to distinguish information from misinformation from disinformation.
Okay.
And I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. You know, piracy is easy today. And the ability to take your picture of mine and put it on the body of somebody else is not something that, depending upon where you're at, may be illegal. And so not only countries are changing and reviewing legislation for their laws, there are provinces, states, wherever you're at, that may be different, which is interesting given this is the World Wide Web.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a challenge, but from two perspectives. That's that high level thing right there. I want you to reflect on, because your brain is fantastic. Okay, one. But two, how does that, and this is the operative word, impact anybody who's involved with business, who's a veteran that you're working with?
I think, you know, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist in any shape or form, and I wouldn't want to be overly controversial here, but I'll be challenging. We'll use that word. So you use the term about messaging, right? And these days, what you can do with the likes of AI and so forth, and literally put in somebody else's face on somebody else, and how messaging within the media has changed. And you could swap out that word messaging for propaganda, because it drives a narrative, right? And that's what propaganda does. So how the media these days can drive a message to a set agenda. And, you know, in the UK, we have the British Broadcasting Corporation. So the BBC is a nationally funded, by the people, by a license fee that we all pay, that should ensure that it's a free media and unbiased. And that's really being challenged these days around the message that they put out and the content that is regularly found to have been incorrect. So I think that's an important point to make, that what you hear and see needs to be some due diligence done on it. And I think that's an era we've never been in the past, right? We always accepted at face value what was being told to us by what we considered to be authoritative sources, news channels, newspapers, magazines, radio stations. And that today is really being challenged, I suppose, is my point. So for veteran-owned businesses, that provides or proves to be a challenge, right? And that's not exclusive to veteran-owned businesses. That's exclusive to any diverse business. Because we're all diverse for a reason.
Right.
We're either underrepresented, we're disadvantaged, we're marginalized in some shape or form. And because of those things, there's a perception from the wider public about you, who you are, what your background is, and henceforth why you are marginalized, disadvantaged, or so forth. So the way the press is now and the media is, and this isn't just the external communications, mainstream media, this is your own communication as well. As a business owner, and the content you put out, you have to be so on the ball now these days to make sure that it is your truth and what you're saying and how you communicate and your brand awareness and your brand within itself. You need to own that so exclusively and keep it on the point. I think that's a unique challenge that's come about in the last 5 years, really, for any business type, any diverse business type in particular, has to be really aware of that and how it fits in the wider media.
I think you're spot on point, and clearly the transformative nature of the democratization of broadcast. Even the conventional stations have podcast and streaming. I think we're in that very special era you talked about. We've long gone past Walter Cronkite, who you could depend on for the truth. One of the things I noticed when President Kennedy was assassinated, he didn't say it until it was done. All the other stations said he was dead.
Yeah.
But he had to have the verification. So you can trust what's being said, but you have to verify, which means you have to be mindful and thoughtful in this process. And as you were talking, what I considered simply was that democratization of broadcast and where and what your group, if anything, is doing to help shape truth, distinguish fact from fiction. And if you're not, it's okay.
Yeah.
But I would think, just based upon what you told me, you're doing some of that already.
You know it, John. So I'm a big believer in data.
Come on.
And facts. So and I like evidence-based research.
Come on.
Okay, so I don't like to talk about things that have been surmised, and I can take this thing and multiply it out by that thing, and we think we'll get the rough answer. So I want to learn, by hard and fast facts. I'm a huge believer in data from my background in the corporate world. And so I'm currently in the middle of a doctorate, and I'm doing a professional doctorate, a Doctor of Business Administration, and I'm 2 years into, hopefully it will take me 4 years to complete. And my research is focused on how veteran-owned businesses fit into the UK's diverse business landscape. So it's really looking at diversity as a whole, globally, then drilling down to diversity in the UK, but then viewing that through the lens of a veteran-owned business. And what does that mean? What's the barriers for veterans? What's the perceptions and implications out there for veteran-owned businesses? What prevents you from doing business? What enables you doing business? And everything is based on evidence-based fact. And that's the reason why I chose to do it as a doctoral candidate, is because you have to back that up. You have to prove what you're saying is fact. You have to, you do all your research, you write up your thesis, and then you have to defend that doctoral thesis to a panel of world experts who will challenge you on, why did you say this? Where did that come from? Was it done in the correct methodical manner? Is the philosophy behind what you're doing correct? And you have to stand there and defend that against a community of peers, academics, who will drill into you to make sure that what you're saying is correct factually and within the context that you are saying it as well. And for me, that was everything that we need as a community is to have that evidence-based research to say this is why more support should be given to veterans within entrepreneurship. This is why corporates should use more veteran-owned businesses within their supply chain. This is the educational programs that we need. This is the education that the military needs to start doing before people leave, that talks about financial literacy, for example. That's one of the findings that's come back from veterans and service leavers that said, we are very poor at financial literacy as a community. We need support with that. Whereas we're very good at things like leadership, managing resources, risk mitigation, those type of what people think are good, strong military traits. But there's another side of that coin, right? And there's always traits that we're poor at, not very good at. And financial literacy is one of those. So having that evidence-based research there, and then saying to corporates, hey, which of you guys want to help out the military community here? Not because it's a nice thing to do. As a financial institute, that's beneficial for you guys as well as beneficial for them. And in any relationship, any deal where it's win-win, they are the only deals that are successful because both sides of that deal wins and they get something positive out of it.
I think that the lens that you're looking through, this data-driven, evidence-based, looking at a body of evidence is important. That's the scientific approach. Now, I want to share the flip side of that. And you know I'm walking with you on being data-driven. But there's something called power, privilege, prestige, and positioning.
Yeah.
And quite often, alternative data can be offered. Really isn't data, but it is that's there, and it's something. And your reflection on this is simple. There's no direction we have to go with this, but it is one of the challenges. I'm making a declaratory statement now rather than asking a question. It's one of the challenges that we have to find a way to manage, because when I was in London, there was a time when 2 young ladies had been killed by what was articulated as an immigrant. He was not an immigrant. He was as insane. He was nuts, but he wasn't an immigrant. Now, his family were immigrants, but 2 hotels were burned down because of that misinformation. The power of misinformation can bring a mob to uprising. And what I'm simply saying is all the data in the world from the National Science Foundation, from the National Institutes of Health, from the Education Department can't change that. And I'm just putting it out there. Power, prestige, positioning, which all leads to perversion after a while, is something we have to learn to deal with as people who want to truly share and care for other people. But I'm with you. That's my background. I've had to do that on several occasions, both in science and in human development. That said, I've got 2 more directions I want to go into, maybe a third.
Okay.
The third is opening this up for anything that we haven't covered. The floor is yours then, sir. The other is sort of a word association game. And I've got one in after that too. But I want to get a sentence or 2, whatever you want to do, on 4 different words.
Okay.
Purpose.
Purpose is a specific one to the military community, right? It's your drive to deliver something you believe in. And a lot of the struggles within the military community is because of that lack of purpose. And a lot of people that struggle when they leave the military is because your whole purpose is wrapped up in the military, and then you leave and that purpose is taken away from you. It's no longer there anymore. And people struggle for that reason. So purpose for me is that drive in something you believe in.
Come on, man. I love it. I love it. Calling.
Ties back into purpose, right? So your calling is the belief system that, aligns you to that purpose. Your calling is where that comes from.
Peak human potential?
When we talk about peak human potential, for me, the piece around that isn't acknowledging people that have achieved peak human potential. It's acknowledging and supporting those that haven't achieved it. How can we help people to achieve their potential? And more of that, in my opinion, needs to be done, because helping people to achieve their potential is what elevates us all as a society.
Let me shake your hand on that, sir. Oh, man, that's powerful, brother. That's powerful. Last one, which you've kind of talked about, but you put your period on this sentence: service to others.
I think that there's a saying, those who give, get. And I think for me, service is the wrapper around that kind of sentiment. To serve others in any shape or form, your family, your community, your country, whatever religious belief you may have, to serve something outside of your own being is what gives you purpose, what provides you with your calling, what enables you and helps you achieve your potential as a person. So for me, for those four words you pulled together, service is the wrapper that pulls all those together. And for those who don't embrace service, I think you genuinely are missing out on a huge portion of your life and what you can achieve and what you can do by giving to others. You get back. And it might not be financial, but it'll certainly be in spiritual reward, mental reward, physical reward, whatever you want. And wealth isn't always financial, right?
That's right. That's right. It could be ongoing learning in life. Which brings me to, before we go to giving the floor completely to you, a statement I want to make, a declaratory statement, and then get your reflection on it if I can. It's impossible to create innovation without inclusion.
Agree.
Your thoughts?
There is no innovation without inclusion.
Come on now.
You know, innovation without inclusion is just a person's opinion on, I think this thing would be better. Inclusion drives innovation. It force multiplies innovation. It's the foundation that innovation is built upon. And you know, lots of companies get it. We hear today at NMSDC, there's hundreds of stalls and booths out there from different corporates who understand that inclusion of communities is what drives them forward in innovative manners, in advancements in whatever it might be that they do, the technology deal, in improved product delivery, customer service, technical capability, so forth. So inclusion, I'm a huge believer in cognitive diversity. So the difference of opinion and experience and mindset, and how when you bring multiple differences together, it provides you with a better outcome, whether that be problem solving, innovation, just pure capability in manufacturing process, for example. Having different people who think different is what drives change and moves things forward, which is ultimately the definition for innovation, isn't it? Driving forward through change.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This conversation has been so delightful, sir, and I want to end it on giving the floor to you to share anything that you would like to.
I think that the big kind of message from me here on this any other business point of the discussion, John, is be inclusive. Talk to people you might not necessarily ordinarily have a conversation as an individual, as a person, as a business, as a corporate, as a government, and engage with those people that aren't like you. Because if your circle is just people like you, nothing's ever going to change. Nothing's going to be any better. Potentially nothing's going to be any worse, which is a good thing. We don't want things to be worse. But we can't just, use a military term, mark time, keep stepping in the same position over and over again. We have to, as a society, as a nation, as a global community, keep moving forward and advancing ourselves. And the only way to do that is by embracing our differences and talking to each other, to understand them, to think about how can their difference make a difference to me? How can I use that? How can they use why I'm different to them? And having that discussion in a positive, open-minded manner that you think, you know what? We can do these things because of our differences, not we can't have a conversation or we can't talk because we are different. Just keep having conversations that lead to positive changes.
I agree with you 100%, sir. And as you were speaking, I thought about the fact that God blessed me with going to a school, a university, where the likes of Dr. Carl Sagan taught. Yuri Brofenbrenner, who was the founder of ecological thinking and science. And there was none of them that was more intelligent than my father, born in 1897, who had 2 years of formal education before he had to work on the farm in Virginia, the first slave state in the United States. And he had this pearl of wisdom, and it really relates to what you said. If you don't go, you won't know.
Absolutely.
And I think, man, look, you don't know. You've touched my head, heart, habit, and hands here. And I'm so appreciative of it. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Please. You know what we're doing.